Welcome back to the channel here. My name is Lucas, and today I had the pleasure of speaking to Andrea Hiott once again. Andrea is the host of the Love and Philosophy podcast, one that I listen to with great admiration, and I'm very inspired by her work as well. I think Andrea has a beautiful mind. She's really good at asking questions. Even when she's the guest, she holds space very well, and I'm sure that you guys will feel that listening to this episode as well. We discussed cognitive science, dreams, lucid dreams specifically, meditation, podcasts as well, many different types of topics. It was really a conversation and could have been just a personal conversation, but we decided to record it so that you guys can enjoy it as well. If you'd like to check out her work, please find it down below. And for now, I wish you guys a beautiful day. Do you listen to your podcast sped up, actually? If you listen at all?
Do I listen to my own podcast or the ones I do with
In
other
general, do you
people?
listen sped up or do you listen
I
speed?
do not my own because when I'm listening to mine, the ones I put out for Love and Philosophy, I only listen to them when I'm doing the research or when I'm editing them.
Uh-huh.
I will go back and listen to them eventually, but I don't listen to them sped up because I want to make sure I understand everything that's said and also make sure I edit it because sometimes people want certain things edited,
Yeah.
and so I listen to them carefully. But in general, when I'm listening to
Uh-huh.
podcasts, I have to admit, I do listen not on double speed like most people, like you
But
probably do. I think you said you did. But like 1.5.
that's good. I used to do much worse, and it's because of my brother, but I used to do like 3 times or even 3.5.
Oof.
It's just gibberish at some point. But you actually can train it. It's like a muscle. It's just
Mm.
that I've kind of stopped listening to podcasts that are um more nonfiction type of thing, or how do I say not nonfiction, but more of like an information type of podcast. I'm listening now more for conversations. So, and to get the feel for a conversation, you can't speed it up too much.
No.
Like, a podcast that's one person speaking and they're trying to explain a topic. Uh,
Okay. You don't listen to those as much anymore.
no, I used to do that a lot, but I
And that
think,
was when you listened to it on three
yeah,
speed.
that I could
Yeah.
listen on three because it's also a
Yeah.
lot of repetition usually.
Yeah, I think when I'm trying, sometimes, we podcasts have become almost like a encyclopedia.
Yeah,
Sometimes I'll just search a topic or
yeah,
search a person's name, and then I might, because I'm looking for research, I'll listen to them kind of quickly just to see if they're talking about what I'm researching or what I want to know about. Then I might actually just put it on normal speed. It just depends. But a lot of the times I listen to it fast is just to see what they're talking about. Or
yeah,
if it's with someone I've listened to a million podcasts with them,
yeah.
and I just want to see if
Because
they're
you hear a
talking
lot of
about.
repetition.
But I don't think it's a good practice, I have to say. I used to do it too a little bit faster, like double speed especially when I was doing my neuroscience degree, because a lot of it was to try
Yes.
to understand topics like you were saying, you know, and I would listen to it fast. And then I started to realize, okay, I'm talking faster, the world's moving faster.
Mm.
I'm expecting everything to move faster because you kind of train your senses.
Yep.
And I don't think that's a good pattern. So I'm now deliberately trying to slow it down a bit. Like when I listen to podcasts for like meaning, I don't put them on any
Yeah.
double speed. I take a walk and I do it at the normal speed, and I
That's,
find that much, much more meaningful, and it
mhm.
stays with me in a different way. But
Yeah,
when I'm just trying to scan it and get the idea of it, I do still put it on 1.5 or something.
that makes
It's
sense.
hard not to, right? There's so many podcasts to listen to now.
Uh, yeah, I must say though, the more I've been doing the podcast, the less I'm listening to them.
Oh.
Whereas I've really started to get a taste more for just, well, like I said, slower conversations. That's the
Mm.
main podcast that I'm still listening to, and then trying to read more fiction books. But my wife, she'll laugh at me when I say that I'm doing that because it's basically we're going to bed. Like she'll read like 40 pages, and I'll be turned, and I'll be like falling asleep after 2 pages. Like I just,
Oh.
I cannot do
Yeah,
it. I fall asleep right away. Like as soon as I read just a little bit, yeah, it just doesn't work.
it is good for falling asleep, but
It is good for it, but
yeah.
I'm not managing to read anything nowadays because of that.
Hmm.
And
Do you ever
then,
try to make, you have to get up so early now for school, but
yeah,
maybe sometimes it's nice in the morning to read a little bit, like before you get
uh,
out of bed, like
I wish
a
that was
little.
an option. To me, waking up before 6:45 or something like that,
Not gonna happen. No, no, no. I forgot you have to get up so early now. That's,
especially if you then go straight into reading. Like I need to do something active to wake myself up.
yeah.
Because I used to do that where I would wake up and then try to meditate or try to read, but then I just
Hmm.
instantly fall back asleep because it's too, yeah, it's not active enough for me. Um,
Do you meditate?
yeah, I do. I think less than I used to. I used to do it. It was a daily practice. I think meditation is unique in that kind of when you've done it a lot, it gets easier to get into a type of maybe a meditative type of state, or at least more present type
Mm.
of state, so that yeah, if you've had a practice for long, it makes the barrier smaller to kind of get into that just in daily life. So in conversation, like I've seen it mostly affect my conversations very positively, that
Mm.
I can kind of go into that mind state. Nowadays, like a proper meditation practice is mostly within the yoga classes I take that my
Oh,
wife teaches, and
oh, okay.
she
When's
lets.
the best time of the day for you to do that kind of stuff? Like
I
afternoon
think,
or something?
yeah, I would say morning, not first thing, but like around 10,
Hmm.
11 in the evening. Like sometimes I do yoga class in the evening. That's a lot. It's like on your back, and I don't know. It's usually not recommended to meditate lying down because you're a bit less sharp.
Mm.
So that's more of an unwinding type of practice. Uh, but yeah, sitting up and really trying to meditate, I think more a bit early in the day. What about you? Do you ever
I,
practice?
yeah, I used to do a lot of sitting meditation and I
Hmm.
sort of got out of it. I started doing mostly walking meditation. I guess some people think that's not real meditation, but
I think so.
you
I think
do?
it is.
Yeah, for me, it definitely is. I notice if I don't walk every day. But over the last couple weeks, I
Hmm.
decided to try to sit again. And I've had some very powerful experiences, I have to say. I mean, powerful, just, just sitting, but actually,
Levitation.
yeah, just feeling what a difference it makes actually for the
Uh,
rest of the day. And
yeah,
actually, even in that moment, just those moments where you kind of having these connective moments, feeling yourself, yeah, these are always hard things to talk about, right?
yeah,
But
yeah.
where you're just not the I, right? The kind of
Uh,
discursive I,
yeah,
and yet very present. I'd sort of forgotten. I have that walking, but it's a bit different than when you're sitting, and sometimes yeah. So I think maybe in
is
different
it?
parts of our lives, different kinds of meditation are good, and
I
maybe I'm
think
going
so.
into one where sitting is probably good again,
Yeah. And is it guided that you do it, or is it just by yourself?
just by myself. I've taken yoga classes. I like that, and I've done some meditation retreats and things
Hmm.
like that over my life, but now I find just sitting is good
Uh-huh.
and walking and I don't yeah, it doesn't feel right to try to fit it into a formula.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so you kind of just sit with your thoughts. Do you do anything deliberate? Because I know some people they'll sit with their thoughts and they try to kind of like not travel with their thoughts and they come back,
Mm.
or they have a specific breathing or something like that, or is it more just sitting?
I think for me it's a bodily.
Mm-hmm.
I sort of try to feel my body, feel the life in my body
Mm-hmm.
all the way through my body. Maybe like a body scan at first to get
Mm-hmm.
started,
Mm-hmm.
just to kind of feel that you're alive. And that's always very helpful for me. And yeah, and it also helps me stay present to just feel, I don't know how to put it. It's not like your body's full of light, but it's that your body is, you can feel your body as alive, not just, something stuck behind your eyes in your head.
Yes, yes. You're
You feel
inhabiting it.
bodily alive. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
you're
know
able
that
to
feeling?
be
You know
present
what I mean?
inside of it. That's what you're saying.
Hmm?
You're present inside of your body instead of
I
like,
am my body.
yes, you are your body.
Yeah. Like I am being my body
Yeah,
instead of being caught in my thoughts, my body's thoughts. Yeah.
yeah.
They're both my body, but I think there's a difference in when you're caught in your thoughts, you're not aware of your body as your body. You're not aware of yourself as this living being that's kind of, present in the room.
Yeah.
And I think coming into that kind of feeling, which is just a really basic feeling, it's just actually putting your attention on your body, on your legs and maybe moving all the way up to your head and just what that does, that you actually can feel your attention
Mm,
changing the way you are as your body.
yeah.
It's hard to use words to talk about that because we always say like, you know, who I am in my body, but it's not that I'm in my body, I am my body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always find that a funny one to think about. Um,
Hmm.
because, other types of thoughts are like schools of thought are like, well, you're not your body, you're not this, you're not this. And it's like, what are you? But I like the idea of scaling up and scaling down, like in a certain frame of reference, you are your body and you are your thoughts and you are your in
Mm.
some ways you're even your family or you even your
Mm.
country. Like
Yeah.
I think it's nice to scale those things up and down to kind of have an awareness of uh
Yeah, I
identity.
agree. I think that's a nice way to say it, like a musical scale.
Yeah.
But that's always one music, right? I wouldn't say there's a time when we're not our bodies. I think that we are more than our bodies
Mm,
is not saying that we're not our bodies. You know,
yeah. Do you
I
have a
think
specific
taking full responsibility for this feeling that we've been given. I mean, this is amazing that that we are bodies.
yeah.
And there's something about accepting that and like being that. And that's the portal into, yes, I'm also the trees and the beautiful day out that I'm looking at, and then my
Ah.
dog here, and
So
you
you
know,
don't look at it like you have to deny this part of you. You say you more like have to embrace it to become more.
it's like a portal that
Yeah.
you move through, but you're always it too, right? You move into and you're it and you're moving through it. I don't like the idea of thinking that it's not that there's some kind of either or choice, right? Where
Yeah.
I'm either my consciousness or my body. That doesn't feel
It's not
right
a
to me.
dichotomy that you like.
You're a plus mark. I love it when you become a
I am a
plus mark
plus
now.
mark, but I'm still very much here. But it will come back at some point.
Speaking of the body, you
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just a
you've
void.
changed.
I'm an AI or a spirit, something like that. Okay, while I go fix this
Uh,
up, I have a question.
okay.
Um, what are things that you're thinking about at this moment in your life or just this week? What is it? What is something that comes up for you when I ask that question?
Thinking about birds
Birds. What kind of birds?
because I was on Amaland Island. Do you know Amaland?
Oh yeah, of course. The peninsula.
Yeah. And we went on some amazing walks and we saw so many great, beautiful birds like spoonbills and marsh harriers and godwits. I love godwits. I once dreamed that I was a godwit and I flew all the way to Mars as a godwit. I know that sounds
Uh,
crazy, but dreams are crazy. And so now when I see godwits, I feel very close to them. Um, yeah, so thinking about birds, but of course, thinking about that sense of, lightness and
mm,
flight and precariousness. But in a more philosophical way, I've been thinking about participatory sense making. Do you know
wait,
that
well, okay, so
term?
let's start. I want to start with the birds, and then we'll add
Okay,
into.
yeah.
I want.
It's all
Okay.
connected.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, let's zoom into birds first, and then we'll do participatory. What do you say? Participatory
Sense making.
sense making. Okay, okay, okay. I like it. It sounds familiar. Um, so first of all, I cannot distinguish birds by name, not in English nor in Dutch. Very bad at that. Not very bird. So
Very bird at
very bird at that.
that.
So you said Godwits, right?
Yeah.
I'd like to look that up. Godwits.
Yeah. Gosh, I wish I still had my coffee mug because it had a godwit on it, but I already took it down. But I used my Godwit coffee mug this morning.
Oh,
Yeah, it's like this funny bird with these long legs and it's kind of always sitting almost on the water or on the
yeah.
beach and has this very long pointy nose
You see it on the
or
screen?
beak, I guess you call it. I just see that you started screen sharing, but I don't see it.
There we go.
Ah, there it is.
It's got a long.
Yeah. There's two different kinds. There's that bar-tailed one is like a redder one. Yeah, that's the one I was when I went to Mars. The
Which one?
bar-tailed Godwit. Yep. This one, the second one. Yeah. That was me when I went to
Oh,
Mars.
that's amazing. What about space?
Yeah, they
Flying
fly
through
really
space.
far.
What is it like to fly through space?
It was a great dream. It's been a year or more since I had it, and I still love that dream. Do you dream a lot?
A lot, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so are they very, do you remember them really well? Like visceral, sensory? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. And I still remember that one very well. And
Uh,
it's weird because we were talking about becoming,
yeah,
our body and like
yeah, yeah.
becoming the ecological. And actually, I really had a sense of being, you know, flying. I mean, flying is always great in dreams,
Awesome.
but as a bird, that's never happened before.
Did you feel your wings as well, or did you just see the point of view of, okay, I'm flying?
It was kind of weird because it was like this is how I remember it. And
Hmm.
I remember it as feeling the flight.
Uh-huh.
And also I have this kind of third person view of myself, kind of,
Yes.
at
Yeah,
the
I
same
recognize
time.
that. Okay.
So I'm
Um,
not sure. Who knows? I mean, this is all very tricky, right? Because I probably added it in after the fact,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah. You did a little edit in your memory,
I
and
mean, how else would I know I was a bar-tailed godwit, that I was
that's
red,
true.
right?
Were you flying alone?
Yeah, I was alone, but I wasn't lonely.
That's nice. What was Mars like? Or did you not stay
I
there?
don't remember much of Mars, mostly just kind of I remember the outer space feeling was very weird. And it's weird saying I remember a dream, but
Yeah.
yeah, and the colors. I think that's part of it too. The colors were sort of, I guess it was more Saturn-like, but they were
Uh,
kind of reddish, yellow, a little bit like my feathers.
that's nice. Do you know about like dream logic where everything you're doing in the dream makes perfect sense while you're in the dream?
Do I know that kind of logic?
Yeah. Like do you feel that? Like for
Oh
me,
yeah, yeah,
I have
yeah.
really weird dreams and then while I'm in the dream, like yeah, of course, this is this and this is that. But then when I go back and I wake up,
You're like, what?
doesn't make sense so much.
Yes,
It has its own logic, let's say, the dream situation.
yes. Dreams are very strange when you try to understand them from everyday logic. But have you ever had a lucid dream? Because I have had those moments where
Yeah.
I realize it doesn't make sense and it kind of gives you a meta
Yeah.
position and then you're kind of lucid in the dream and
So I had
yeah.
a funny thing last summer when, well, I just have a history of having a lot of dreams that are very long and a lot of them are very scary.
Oh.
And less so now, but I had a while where that was very, very common.
Hmm.
And so in the summer, I was like, let me learn how to lucid dream so then that stops.
Oh, wow.
That was my thought. So
Hmm. So you could stop yourself in the dream from going to the dream.
just to feel a bit more control, I guess.
Yeah.
So then this was at our honeymoon and started to learn some of the tricks. Kind of, I think you have to wake up in the middle of the night and then tell yourself, this is not a dream, this is not a dream. So like make very clear distinctions between the two.
Mhm.
And then I started doing that. And I did have an awareness while I was dreaming that I was dreaming, but it didn't really solve anything for me because I was still inside of the dream and I couldn't really escape it. It
Hmm.
also didn't make it that much less scary, nor did it feel like I had more control. So
Oh,
it didn't
okay.
achieve any of the things that I thought it would. So then
Hmm.
I just kind of gave that up. And then at the same time, I was thinking, well, sleeping is also letting go,
Yeah.
symbolically speaking. Like it's good to,
And you like to sleep, or it
I
sounds
love
like you
sleeping.
go to sleep easily, and so that's good.
I
So,
fall asleep super quick, but yeah, it's just the dreams that are sometimes an issue. Or sometimes that, like yesterday, I had a dream that was so rich and so full of things that I'm sure are super worth analyzing. But I was just like, I don't feel like it. It's just too much. Like it's just, I'm not gonna, like when you watch a three
it's
hour long,
tiring.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff there. I'm sure there is. And if I would have really written it down, I would have I would have had a lot to think about, but I'm also like I don't not
You
right
don't
now.
always have to do that.
Maybe
No,
in the summer break and I have time and I want to occupy my mind with things, but at the moment
no.
there was just too much there to begin. Like there was not a very clear uh, lesson from it or anything. But the
Yeah, I
dream
understand.
logic was there. Like I was like, this makes a lot of sense within the dream, and then I came out of it and I was like, okay, this is gonna take a lot of figuring out.
Yeah. You know something weird? Last night,
Yeah,
I dreamed about John Vervaeke,
no way.
which is very weird because you're the person well, there's been a few people who've told me about him, but I'm pretty sure you're one of the first
Yeah, I
people.
remember telling you, and then you were
Yeah.
like, I should probably
Yeah.
look into it.
Yeah, which I'm starting to a little bit. I haven't lately. I don't know where he came from yesterday, but
Yeah.
uh yeah. And then I got your email and it's like the meaning crisis and
Uh-huh.
addiction. So, yeah. But the reason I bring it up is there's certain things like that. I try to just take notes of it
Uh,
because it's interesting, right? And it could be just even that I dreamed of him. Who knows? Like it's interesting to maybe in the future look back and think, oh, that's interesting that that theme was resonating at that moment for
yeah,
whatever
absolutely.
reason.
I wanted to tell you one of my favorite dreams was when I was a gazelle. And
Ooh, so you have had these a gazelle. Wow.
yes, but it was while I was a teenager and I was drinking a lot on the weekends and
Mm,
I remember still being drunk while having the dream.
mm.
And I loved it. It was amazing.
Were you running? Because that would be
Yes,
fun.
that was the fun part. Felt so
Yeah.
fast. And I think being influenced by alcohol had something to do with it.
Yeah, probably
'Cause I've never
just
had a dream like,
neurally, but
yeah,
you asked me this question, but did you feel you were the body of the gazelle or were you looking at the gazelle?
yeah. So I
Yeah.
felt like I could feel my
Yeah.
paws
Yeah, yeah.
and stuff
Hmm.
like that. But
Yep, yep.
one of my favorite experiences meditating now that I'm thinking about it at the start of when I started meditating when I was about 18, I think.
Mm,
Um, I had this thing where I was just in the chair and I was breathing. And it was the first time that meditation turned into some sort of experience.
mm,
And I think I was like on top where I was like a bull, like
mm.
a, and the whole nature around me was kind of really alive. And
Ooh,
I felt this heartbeat. Like,
ooh.
it was amazing. It felt super good.
Wow.
Felt super expansive and it felt really connected. And yeah, I remember that fondly. So that's what
It
it made.
feels good just to hear you say it.
Yeah, it feels
It made
nice,
me
right?
think of like a David Hockney painting coming to life or something, like looking
Yeah.
at the at the when you described it. I don't know. But
Yeah.
that's in the heartbeat, that's pretty powerful to
It was pretty powerful. It
yeah.
helped me to kind of connect to also the nature around me and mm, feel that resonance and connection.
Have you ever done Tai Chi? Have you
No,
ever
but I
tried?
really like to. I would like to do it.
The first time, because you were talking about, we were talking about lucid dreams. The first time I ever had a lucid dream was after the first time I did Tai Chi. And I'm absolutely sure it was connected because
Yeah.
there was something about the way the bodily movement or something was, because it was a very good Tai Chi lesson. I've taken a lot of Tai Chi since. This was a long time ago. I was quite young. And uh, I had this experience of flow, right? I don't know how else to describe it, which doesn't always come every time I do Tai Chi. But in this night, it was at night when I took the lesson, it did. And then I had the lucid dream. And so I find that connection very interesting in the kind of like in the way you were when you were drinking, you dreamed of the gazelle, of how
Yeah.
this kind of there's something about the state of the body that sets the tone of the
Yeah.
dream.
Oh, definitely. And the lucid dreams that you've had, have they been positive or very interesting, or how do you look at them?
Well, when you were saying, so that one after the Tai Chi was incredible. It was such a good feeling. It was almost, I mean, I don't want to do like sexual kind of, it
Huh?
wasn't sexual because that lessens it, but it was very,
Yeah, I know what
very,
you mean.
you
Yeah.
know, yeah, it was like surfing a wave
Yeah.
but not afraid, you know?
Yeah.
And I wanted more of that for sure.
Mhm.
So of course I did like more and more Tai Chi.
Mhm. Did you
And
get
I
more and
think
more lucid dreams as well?
not like that one. But the Tai Chi gave me more. I still really like Tai Chi. I've only just, I started going to a few classes in Utrecht. I'm just
Mm,
looking to see if I can start it back again. But Taoism and Tai Chi, it's given me a lot more than a lucid dream. But I wanted that lucid dream, and I started doing what you were describing, these little exercises where you wake yourself up or you trying to kind of cultivate it. And I came to a similar conclusion as you. It wasn't that I couldn't do it. I kind of learned how to do it. And there were a few really great ones where I could come, a, I did have agency. So in the dream, I did decide, okay, I really like to fly in my dreams, for example. Some of my most favorite dreams are the feelings of flying. So in when I was having the lucid dream, I could make myself fly. And that's great. I love that.
yeah,
But it didn't happen so often. And then something about it just felt weird. It felt wrong. Kind of like what you're saying, you should just let go. And
yeah,
it's not about, I don't want to work all night,
yeah,
you know? Just like, what am I doing? I didn't feel like I was cultivating something that was, it was about control. And I
yeah.
was kind of like, why do I need to control my dreams too?
I heard about this story of this guy who is a coder and he used lucid dreaming to code more. It's
Oh,
like coding.
wow. I can kind of see that actually.
Yeah,
I mean, I've done some coding. I'm not good at it, but I know how to do it. And when I was learning it and doing it, it changed. I mean, it changes the way you think for sure.
uh,
Um, but it definitely changed my dreams, like the way things links and
so how does it
yeah.
change the way you think?
It's like learning a new language,
Yeah,
literally. You know, you
okay.
just the same way when you learn a new language, you notice that you can think in a different mode.
Yeah, I definitely see that. Also, the way it relates to dreams, because when I was learning the Egyptian hieroglyphics, I remember my dreams and I saw like
Mm.
my, I don't know if it was my unconscious or my brain. I kind of saw it making sense of the things, like processing the information that I would get during the day at
Hmm.
night, like making connections. Like I saw a visual of it all happening. It was very interesting.
Mm.
I think
Wow.
definitely language is like that.
Yeah, I mean, the same way there's certain things you can say in, for example, Dutch or German
Yeah,
that you can't really say in English. And when you try to explain it, you can convey most of the information, but it's like the sense of it you
yeah,
don't really convey. And coding has that. It has a kind of sense. I mean, it actually kind of blew my mind. I had to learn it for neuroscience, right? And it kind of blew my mind actually how much it did shift the way I could see the world. Um, and it probably has a lot to do with this technology
yeah,
mindset and all of the changes that go along with it, because it is a very visceral shift. And I would say a lot of it's positive because you start thinking clearly and like you see logic. It's almost like learning critical thinking and logic, but you're learning it like by symbols.
yeah.
And there's a clarity to it that's very helpful. It was to me, but it can also really go overboard.
Mhm.
We aren't zeros and ones, and
Yeah,
we aren't like, I mean, there's a lot of nuance to wonderful coding languages, but I almost think it's not such a bad thing that now it's becoming a little easier to not have to go so deeply when you learn the languages because of AI, right?
yeah,
There's so many shortcuts now. You don't have
yeah.
to,
There's a lot of
yeah.
shortcuts. I like that there's still a barrier to becoming top of your field. Let's say
Yeah.
it
No,
seems
no.
like
I meant
everyone can
shortcuts
do that.
coding, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But what
Um,
do you mean, the barrier to the top of your,
well, I mean more like that. For example, if you're an author or something that's totally unrelated to coding, with the help of artificial intelligence, you can become pretty okay at coding. Uh,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
or
I mean,
any
the
other.
coding itself, it's good if everyone, like, if more people have access to that, because kind of for the reason I was saying, because it is such a different way of seeing the world, and there's so much, like, that you don't understand about how easily everything can be manipulated just through setting up certain kind of patterns in algorithms.
Yeah,
And once you start to understand that a little, you're less susceptible to it,
yeah, yeah, yeah. That makes sense. Like the people
which
at
is,
Google that don't let their kids use.
or you just even Google, like, you realize the more you search for something, the more you're going to get stuff like
Yeah,
that.
of course. Yeah,
It's just very simple things that a lot of people just never think about because you just think, oh, you're getting like a top choice of the whole internet. No, you're each time narrowing your field, unless you do specific things to counteract that. So, and also just with something like large language models, where it seems so magical, but if you start to understand the way those kinds of things are trained, you sort of realize it's still our potential. It's just that there's a very wide range of possibilities that it can put together.
It lifts
But
the veil
yeah,
a little bit from the.
it's not so magical anymore
Yeah,
in
yeah.
in a way that's positive.
Yes, yes, because it kind of, I think for a lot of people, and I think I definitely had the same as a kid, the technology is so shiny, it's so magical indeed, that
Yeah.
it becomes a part of your worldview for sure. And
And just the light of it. I mean, when you're a kid,
yeah,
it's so attractive. Just the screen is so attractive.
uh-huh. And then you take that with you, being like, well, this is gonna solve everything. And what I
Yeah.
liked about your recent conversation with Clive, was it Clive?
Grenier.
You mentioned that technology is still very much influenced by us. And well, this specific conversation was about love and design, and incorporating love into design,
Mm-hmm.
and design in a very broad term. Like, gave some beautiful examples of like a heat map in different cities, and you could push into it, and then it would show up in another screen, let's say, in a different place of the world. But anyway, that we still have quite a lot of agency about what we do with the technology and kind of how we
Yeah.
make
We
it.
still have all the agency if we realize it and if we take it and if we put, well, I don't know what the word is, but if we know when we're not able to use our agency, right? Then you
Yeah.
can choose not to participate in that, so to speak. But that's become very, very hard. But just it's nice you bring that up because a lot of technology is geared towards addiction. Just not that there's some cruel person necessarily, thinking, oh yeah, we have to get everyone addicted, but it's just the way you make money, and it's also kind of like what you were describing, or I was describing, the nature of the shiny object that it pulls you in,
So do
in the
you?
way, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And
for sure.
we were
That's
talking about trying to design from a different point of view, where it's
exactly.
about connecting and feeling the environment around you and feeling one another. And actually, to go to that bodily feeling, when you're using the technology, if you're using it and it's trying to addict you, it doesn't feel so good. We all know
Yeah,
this. If you take a moment and figure out, oh, I don't feel so good, and
yeah.
this isn't, you can look at the work of Jonathan Haidt, right? Who's talking about all the teenagers being addicted and miserable and terrible kind of mental problems because of it. But we could design technology that's not addictive. It's not that the technology itself has to be addictive.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. And
And
so, do you do
yeah.
anything with that yourself for your own algorithm or the way you consume content? If you like, are you on social media and YouTube and stuff like this? Do you do?
I think I talked to Karen once about social media, which
Uh,
was a while ago. I always had a bit of I always pushed all of that away. I didn't do Facebook. I didn't do any of that. And it wasn't, everyone was doing it then. And but now I don't take it so personally anymore, and I definitely don't invest any kind of like sense of self in it, or I try not to. We're all susceptible in a way, right? I mean,
hmm?
I'm people write things, and I even get emails and stuff, and of course, like I'm a human being, and it's great to hear compliments, and it's hard to hear criticisms, and both are welcome, by the way. I don't push them away, but I don't think have ever I've never fully given myself over to the technology in the way that I've seen a lot of people do it, mostly because I know my own addictive personality,
Yeah,
or the way I was as a kid. And I just didn't want to have those habits. But I also have always thought it's so cool. I do love technology. So it's kind of weird, right? That I didn't participate.
hmm,
I mean, now Love and Philosophy has all those websites or whatever and social media apps, but I think I don't personally.
Yeah, it's not yourself that's exactly on it.
I think I have one, maybe on Blue Sky and Facebook as my name. I'm not
Uh,
even sure about that. Yeah, but the point is I also think technology is amazing. Like how cool that we can all connect
mhm.
all across the world in these ways. I find it very sad that it's become, well, that there's a lot of difficult things now attached to all those companies and technologies.
Yeah,
Because I do think it's our potential. We like with Clive and I we were talking about we could use that in ways that make us feel better about ourselves and more less judged by one another and like that give us meaningful interactions. I still think that's actually very exciting. And I think people can make a lot of money on it too. I don't think it has to be completely divorced from making, I don't think you have to make technologies that are addictive in order to have a successful business. I think that's a very wrong assumption that a lot of people work on right now.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I do. I think that it's very much the norm to make addictive technology because it's maximizing a type of um, but I think at the same time, if you really think about it long term and you want people to love your technology and you want people to love your product, it cannot be addictive. That's not a right relationship to have with anything, whether it's a product or a person, I think, or a substance.
Hmm.
I think if you really want sustained um, success or growth, whether that's business or anything else, it needs to be a bit more natural than that. And I think that technology could reflect that and it could work for the business as well. But it wouldn't be as explosive, which is, I think, what a lot of people are looking for when they get started in this type of sector. They,
Mm.
they put a lot of work in and then they hope for some sort of exponential growth at some point.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's kind of the business model now that you want to sell it for millions of dollars and therefore
That
you
is
need to
how it
have
works.
millions of people who like it and but I
But
think all of that can change. I mean, lately I've been writing about complexity of optics instead and like I think we're right now complexity, do you know complexity science kind of ideas? It
no,
doesn't matter. I don't mean complicated. I just mean that there's many ongoing paths into whatever you're
yeah,
dealing with. There's a kind of, it's complex in
yeah,
the sense of, yeah, there's a lot of potential. And I think right now we're very involved with optics, like how things, like the shiny thing, as you were saying, the shininess of it, the shiny wrapper, or the how many metrics we get,
yeah,
the likes and the follows. And this is maybe was okay at some point, I don't know, but it definitely feels unhealthy
mm,
on so many levels now. And but like you're saying, a lot of the business is geared towards that. So how do we shift like towards a complexity of love instead, where it's still complex and there's so many moving parts, but it's more geared towards what extends us and connects us. And I think there's so much potential there. We haven't, I mean, it doesn't have to be called love. I know that's a hard word for a lot of people,
yeah,
but just thinking of what's possible in a wellness or a healthy mindset that's still doesn't mean it's easy or sweet or sentimental. It's very exciting. I mean, I wonder about you because you were in this modeling business and I don't know if you have Instagram. I haven't looked, but I can imagine that would be a good medium for you because you can have all your
yeah,
beautiful photos. Like, did you ever have a time where you wanted to play that optics game?
yeah. So that's funny you ask because I was off so I had Instagram as a kid, like teenager. Then I took it off and it was awesome. I loved it. And there was a
You
time of
loved it
my
when
life,
you took it off?
yeah, when I
Yeah.
didn't have Instagram, I really
Yeah.
enjoyed it. Um, and then I had to download it again because of modeling. Like they told me, like I went to Italy to go there for a month for to try to get jobs and whatnot. And then they told me, well, you have to have it. There's no way
Mm.
to like be in this
Wow.
industry without it. And so that was kind of the reason that I had it. And then I never told people around me that I had it so that I could keep it just for that.
Mm.
That worked. I didn't have the app and stuff like that. And then after a while, like I couldn't lie to people and they would ask me, oh, do you have Instagram? And I was like, yes, I do. But, and then at some point, the but kind of faded away because before you know it, you have a network of people on the social media app that kind of are in touch with you, and some are just in touch with you through Instagram. So that's also an issue at some point, and there comes a barrier to leaving it again. And I
Yeah.
need to kind of have it for the modeling type of thing. So yeah, there was that interest, and I didn't really like that. Um, no, I
Did you
haven't done.
use your real name, by the way?
No, I didn't. Well,
Okay.
I used Lucas.
Devon. Yeah.
I
Or
don't
not Devon.
use Devon.
Yeah.
I did Lucas Voss, but with a Z,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
so that people wouldn't find me if they looked up my last name, and they
Okay, that
didn't,
makes
which was
sense.
nice.
Yeah.
So at some point, I just had a network of people that I knew from the last 3 years, let's say, and not before that,
Hmm.
and the people from modeling. Um, and it was also helpful for modeling indeed. But at some point, I was also like recently, like 2 months ago, I was like, well, okay, so modeling is still, I still have a contract, whatever, but it's very rare. I do get contacted every now and again for potential jobs, but uh, some I also said no to for different reasons, like whether it's location or the type of thing that they're advertising. I'm just like, I don't need it anymore. So
Yeah.
why do things that I wouldn't do if there was no money involved? So
Mm.
I've kind of decided like, okay, I'm just gonna throw it out because it's really not helping me with anything. The only thing it was helping me with was my wife likes to send me really funny videos, and I
Mhm.
do enjoy. I think it's actually a good thing we watch those together, like memes or whatever, and
Yeah, that's
that's
very
actually
sweet.
fun. Like it seems like a positive thing in my life, but
Hmm.
we found out that even after I deleted the account, she can still send them to my deleted account, and she can
Oh.
still open them. So she still has like an archive of
Oh.
stuff.
Oh, that's kind of good.
It's good. And she was the main one sending things anyway, so we keep that up. But yeah, I did throw that out, and that's been actually really nice. Um,
Yeah. Well, that's
because
good.
it's really good. Like I must say they find a way to keep you on there for longer than you want to be always. And same with Twitter. Like I threw Twitter off last week.
You
Um,
did?
I did also because I was like, what do
Yeah.
I really have it for? And mostly it was the people that I could contact through it.
Yep. Yep.
Um, so I had like a network of people on both on Instagram and on Twitter that I had to kind of give my contact details to in the last weeks to be able to really leave all of the platforms, which now I did.
Well,
So
that's good. And how does it feel?
really nice
Yeah.
because usually when I would open my phone, I would have my phone and I look at it and there's all these affordances.
Mm.
You're like,
Yeah.
okay,
Mm.
open up the browser, you can type in Twitter, you can type in this, you can type in this. And now the options have just narrowed to the point where I can open up my messages, my email, uh, my photos. And I watch I like football. I play football a lot, and so sometimes I look at the football
Mm.
news.
My husband too, so I'm used to the
He's Dutch,
that.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Does he have a specific club that he supports?
IX.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That's the way it is. And
What about
yeah,
you?
I'm PSV, so it's
Okay.
other team, but it's fun. I have it with my students a lot because they all like pretty much over 50% of the country supports Ajax.
Yeah, it seems
It's
like
the
it.
capital, and it's got the biggest history. Um,
But
but
he's
yeah,
from
anyway,
Rotterdam, so it's kind of weird, don't you think?
that happens a lot though.
Yeah.
Like the kids here in The Hague, they stop supporting the football from The Hague because
Huh.
it's not a
Funny.
great team. And then the team from Rotterdam, which is the rivals of Ajax, also had a time where they performed less, and then a lot of people jumped ship basically. But yeah, it cost me a lot of actually my growing up in school. I was always the only person supporting PSV, and everyone supported Ajax. So it was always a
Oh,
thing
that's
growing
kind of
up.
sweet though. That's like, I always like the underdog, so.
Exactly. Yeah, me too. But yeah, so that and so it's narrowed down my options, and that's really nice. Like it's freeing for sure. And I didn't realize how easy it would be actually to kind of not have it. Uh, either of them, like Twitter, Instagram. Like I haven't missed it once.
Oh, that's good to hear.
It's really
Because
nice.
I never had it on my phone, so I don't know what that feeling is, but I've heard a lot of people saying that lately that it's not as hard as they thought it would be.
It's hard to like do it. Like it's hard to
Hmm.
have it and then to try to not touch it. But it's not hard
Right.
to not have it, and because you literally
Once
can't.
you get used to it.
You
Did it
can't. You
take
can't.
you like a little bit of time to stop looking for it on your phone, or was it
No, no, Twitter
no?
immediately. Instagram for a couple of times I did like accidentally type it in and then But
But Twitter seems to have been dying for a while now, and
what was nice about it though is that they
but it
had
was so great at one point, wasn't it?
it was, and what I like that they did recently is that they added like for you, and then you can only see the people you follow.
Oh,
Um, that's a nice feature,
yeah.
but still, it wasn't enough because there's just so much nonsense on there, and it's trying to kind of aggravate you or activate other parts of you that are just not helpful. And so, whether it's making you angry or making you want to like argue with other people, it just it's not a great representation of people in general, I think. And so, it's usually in the way of connection
Mm-hmm.
instead of the other way around. So
Yep.
So it's been super. It's just have YouTube left, which I like because that's where I can upload things. It's really I like to like create and not consume so much
Mm.
on YouTube. But I love YouTube as a encyclopedia, similar to you said about podcasts. Like any
Mm-hmm.
topic, it's just it's fun. It's a fun thing.
Yeah, it's amazing how much we can learn now
That
and
is.
get different perspectives. I hope that doesn't change. Like I don't think YouTube's going to go the way of a Twitter or anything like that because that's its strength, staying
Uh, yeah.
where you can get a lot of different views,
But
different
the thing is,
kinds of views.
I don't have so much time with you left, but I want to ask you a bunch of questions. So I want to make sure I get to
Oh,
the
okay.
I
Yeah,
really want
sure.
to ask you.
Okay, I'll stop
Um,
talking about technology.
oh, there we go. Plus sign time.
Plus sign is back.
Oh, here we are. So one thing I wanted to ask you was about participatory sense making. So you can
Oh,
talk a bit about that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that would have to be a whole conversation, but I think I'll just it's I mean, how does it sound, right? It's this idea of intersubjectivity. So instead of we talked about the body and consciousness a little bit at the beginning, and
Yep.
so you have this sense of your subjectivity of who you are, the
Hmm.
I, and then it seems like it's in contradiction to the objective, which is the world out there. Or you could think of it in science, like my personal opinion versus this supposed objective view, which is really a kind of average, tested of all of our subjectivities. But that's another thing. But the real heart of life is the inner subjectivity. It's your interaction with your world. That's actually the reality. It's participatory sense making. So you're making sense of the world in participation with the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also with yourself.
Yeah.
So, you come into an awareness of your own consciousness and your own, like your body and your beingness. And through something like language and these kind of habits, you start feeling like you're talking to yourself in a way, having these thoughts and, or even just noticing your own actions, noticing for you, we've talked about technology. You started noticing, oh, I'm looking at my phone all the time
Mhm.
and it's making me feel a certain way. That's a kind of participatory engagement with your own self and with it's like an intra subjectivity. It's
Yeah.
a you're noticing what's making sense, what is happening in your participation with your world as mediated through technology or whatever. So I've just been thinking a lot about the intersubjectivity and intrasubjectivity as really the heart of it all, Even what we think of as a subjective stance, the I, or what we think of as the world out there, those are always actually in communication.
Yeah.
And that has been, I've thought of it a long time. It's kind of at the heart of a lot of 4E cognition. I don't know if we've
Yeah.
talked about 4E, yeah.
I know about
And
it through
that, yeah.
John. So
Oh, through John. Okay.
can you remind me?
Uh,
So it's embodied, embedded, um,
inactive.
inactive in the last one?
And uh, did we say ecological or
No.
extended? Because some
Extended.
people, yeah,
Extended, yeah.
extended, yeah, and some people put in ecological instead of
Ah,
embedded now. And I think John, I shouldn't use his first name because we're not on first name basis, but I have trouble saying his last name correctly.
Vervaeke.
Um,
Well, actually, it's a Belgian name, so he's saying it wrong.
oh,
You
okay.
know?
Well, there you go.
But yeah, Vervaeke
But
is good.
I think he's adding, because I started adding emotional, and then someone told me, oh, John Vervaeke is also saying that.
Ah,
And I think the E's are not four anymore. There's many E's,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know. It can go on and on, but ecological, yeah. But anyway, this is what I studied early on, and it's kind of was seen as like the opposite of a computational idea of mind. I
Yeah,
don't think it is the opposite. I like both approaches,
I see.
but I feel the embodied, starting with bodily participation as cognitive is very important for me. Not thinking of it as stuck in the head. I think we can use computational models to understand the way the brain participates in that and
Ah,
and more. But for me, the idea of mind, which is, cognition is mind, it's feeling, it's like all this stuff, all these words we use to talk about our presence of ourselves, thinking, remembering, all of that's cognition. And for me, all of that is participatory. It's intersubjective. It's a body in encountering the world and the world encountering the body. And there are regularities that are easily distinguishable. Like
yeah,
clearly I am myself, I am a body.
yeah,
But, the closer you get, the more porous those boundaries become.
yeah,
And so that's like that kind of 4E
yeah.
side of philosophy. And that's where participatory sense making comes from, because it's actually a term that some inactive philosophers use to really think about what cognition is, and to apply it to something like how we might understand what it means to be autistic, for example, or these kind of different ways of being in the world that are actually different ways of participating and making sense, that aren't necessarily bad or wrong, just different. And yeah, so that's participatory sense making in a like a very brief way, as just
Yeah,
thinking of it, as that space where your body and the world is one thing in interaction.
I see. It
Yeah.
reminds me a lot of John's work actually, because I don't know how different it is from his idea of participatory knowledge.
I
Uh,
think he gets this. I think he's riffing on,
I see.
I mean, I shouldn't speak, but for him, but I know he's very influenced, for example, by Evan Thompson,
Yeah.
who is one of my favorite philosophers. I've talked to him on the show, and he, with another guy, Varela, who's also a favorite, wrote this book, The Embodied Mind, and that was like the beginning of all this. And that participatory stuff came out of that. And I'm pretty sure John is,
I'm sure.
one person who's extending that and adding to it and so on.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got different. He's got the four P's. It's funny for
Right. Yeah.
he's
I
got
think
the
it's
four.
probably a riff on that a little bit.
I'm sure it is. He's got
Yeah.
four P's of knowing. So he's got propositional, perspectival, participatory, and someone will help me out in the comments for the fourth one. But but yeah, he's got those four. And then what you said about intra or intersubjectivity, he uses a term called transjectivity to describe a similar thing, which goes back to kind of the issue of subject object duality not
Mm.
sufficing
Hmm.
for describing the world or understanding the world as it is. um,
Yeah.
so it may
I
still be
think
useful.
I think he's doing the same thing. He's just very good at describing it in a way that's understandable without having to go and read all this literature,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
And that's a real skill, by the way, because it's, a lot of these words you need to read 5 zillion books and sort of understand them, but he sort of reframes it he
Mhm.
names it a little different, like relevance realization. I've
Yeah,
started to hear. I mean, what he's saying there is a lot of people are saying, but by the way, there's nothing new under the sun. We're all saying stuff somebody else has said.
yeah, of course.
But the way he says it is, I think, understandable to someone who's never had a philosophy class. And
Yes,
that's a
yes,
genius kind of thing.
it is. I think the one of the most common compliments he gets from people is that people get language from him to describe things that they could never describe before. So the
Well, that's a
vocabulary thing
huge,
is,
huge gift to do
yeah,
that. To feel something and hear it named, and have a way to get words around it is, gosh,
yeah,
so helpful. So why half of us study philosophy.
yeah, yeah.
Mr. Plus sign is back.
Yeah, Mr. Plus sign is back. I can imagine that. And I think that also his quality is to be very precise, scientific.
Hmm.
Like that's something that a lot of people lack in the meaning making type of space where I don't know, it can be very easy to go extremely right hemispheric and intuitive and just be very vague as well.
Yeah,
And
build all your
so
word towers so that you just leave everyone on the ground who doesn't come along on the
yeah,
ladder.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that's a quality, and I think that you can do that. You do that as well in your in your work and on your channel, that you find a very nice balance between the being precise and also leaving space to understand
Mhm.
things with not just your analytical.
Yeah, I mean, I try, but it's also just, yeah, coming at it from the place of care, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, yeah, but yeah, I think a lot of the stuff you probably liked about or learned about with that series that you talk about often from John Vervaeke,
uh-huh.
which I still haven't watched, the meeting series, the one, the really long one on YouTube.
Yeah,
Is
awakening
it
from
is it
the
on YouTube for free or something? And
yeah,
okay. So I
and
need
also
to one day I'm just gonna have to settle in and start that because that's gonna be a journey.
yeah, that'll be about 50 hours, but
Yeah.
it's also on podcast apps if that's easier.
Okay.
So you can go
But I
speed
get the
it up if
feeling a lot of that's about intersubjectivity or participatory sense making. I mean, those words you
very
just named,
important.
the P's, for
Yeah.
example, perspectivalism is a very, very important
Yeah. It's
thing for
very
me. It's a whole philosophy, right? You
yeah.
know, there's a whole kind of thing about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have the feeling he's deepening and adding his own whatever paths
Yeah.
to whatever all those people, which it goes all the way back to the beginning of philosophy, have been trying to share with us. You know, I think
Yes.
he's big on Plato too, and there's a lot of,
He loves
you know,
Play-Doh, yeah.
that dialogue and
Yeah.
dialectic discursive opening of the mind. That's very intersubjective. That's participatory sense
Yes,
making.
for sure. What I like about it is that he combines all this cognitive science. He somehow is able to combine that with sort of a history of thought. So he starts all the way back, kind of goes chronologically all the way into the 21st or the 20th century. Um,
Oh,
speaking,
right. He's someone told me he's talking about axial age.
yes,
Kind of
exactly.
okay,
So he
because
goes all the way
I'm
back.
at Heidelberg, which is where
Yeah.
Karl Jaspers was. My supervisor is the Karl Jaspers professor, and Karl
Uh,
Jaspers is the one who came up with the axial age. So
awesome.
that's all kind of weird, like
At
connections.
Heidelberg. That's
Hmm.
cool. My brother was there. So the festival we spoke about before was
Hmm.
hosted around there, close to the
Oh, oh wow.
like the first one. I wasn't there, but the first
Okay.
one.
Oh,
So it's like
yeah. There's so many connections.
everything's connected in the end. Okay, so I don't have that much time anymore. I want to be respectful of it for
Okay.
you. Um, yeah, pity because could talk all day. Last thing that I wanted to ask, just out of personal interest, because I'm a Dutchman, how has it been to be in the Netherlands? What have you liked and what have you disliked about it thus far?
Uh, wow. That's a kind of intense question to an American right now because there's so much going on in
Mm.
my country, which is painful
Mhm.
and hopefully also going to be positive at some level, somehow. So the reason I preface with that is because, in a way, I feel very, very lucky that I'm here.
Yeah.
Not only because I'm in love with someone,
Hmm.
a Dutchman, because that's like wonderful.
Hmm.
Um, Not only because it's a great country, because it is, but also just I feel, yeah, it feels like I have. I don't know. It just feels like a gift right now that I have the choice that I don't have to be
Yeah.
in the midst of a situation that would be very stressful for me.
Hmm.
But that said, the other goes, it goes the other way too. I feel like I should be there
Yeah.
and I am there. I mean, that's technically like my still my country. That is my country.
Yeah.
That's where my house is. But it's like very, it's just so strange. It's almost like a schizophrenic feeling sometimes when I'm there, how it feels, and when I'm here, how it feels. I've never had that. Of all the time I've studied and been in Europe and come to Europe, I've never had it feel so different.
Yeah.
Like where I don't even know how to describe it. I don't know if you've been to the States recently, but
No.
it just feels like when I'm there, I just feel I'm so aware that it's very, very different atmosphere.
Yeah.
And I can't describe it. And then when I'm back here, it kind of fades away. So yeah, I know that's a hard question, but I think I feel grateful for the Netherlands. I feel grateful for Europe right now.
Hmm.
And I think it's an amazing place. A lot of Americans maybe don't Yeah, there's a lot that I could say that
Yeah.
I will just be careful about right now, but
Right.
I feel thankful and I also feel hopeful and I also feel concerned and
Mm-hmm.
but as far as living in the Netherlands, it's the good things are many, many, especially on days like this because it's a sunny, beautiful day.
Vincent, yeah.
Yeah, it can be hard. It's the same kind of difficulty I had in Berlin
Mm-hmm.
when I studied there with the weather.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's kind of gray and
It's a
rainy
swamp.
and
Yeah, it can get super rainy for super long.
yeah. Does
It's
it
a
ever bother you or
miracle.
you just like it? You
No, no, I don't. I don't like the rain. I don't think I'm as bothered by it as people coming from different countries often are, but it's
it's
definitely not
different.
great, especially on the bike. Uh,
But I'm so amazed by all these people zooming around, like pouring down
People,
rain, and
yeah,
some people with their kids just going about daily business on the bikes. It's I just like respect, right? Like I look around some days,
yeah,
I'm like, whoa, it's just normal, I guess. But such strong, and it's not like they couldn't take the car; they just choose to take the bike
it's
because
true.
that's the culture, and
Yeah,
it's awesome. I haven't gotten there yet. I think I need to get a little tougher. I'm still used to the sun. I mean, I come from the southern part of the US where it
yeah,
was,
that's a lot different.
yeah, it's a lot different.
All right,
But
let me close this off with a camera because otherwise I won't be able to see it all.
yeah, the
Here's
plus
my
mark is great, but
tele camera. Yeah, might be a bit annoying, but thank you so much for talking again, Andrea,
yeah,
and
it
I'll
was great
let
to talk to you
people
too, Lucas.
find your channel below, uh, which I'm a big fan of. And yeah, if you're ever in The Hague, let us know. We'll
Okay,
set
I
something up.
will.
And have a nice weekend.
And
Enjoy the
same.
sun, hopefully.
All right. Thank
See
you.
you. Bye bye.
Bye.